Less than a decade ago, Sweden had one of the lowest levels of gun crime in Europe. Now, they're the second highest. According to a report from the NGO Global Initiative, Sweden now has the highest crime rate in Northern Europe, particularly due to issues with gang violence and other crimes related to gangs, such as fraud, arms dealing, and drug dealing. The report notes that most organized crime groups and gangs in Sweden are dominated by non-ethnic Swedes from the Balkans and the Middle East, among others. In terms of specific crimes, Sweden has seen a surge in gang-related violence, with a notorious gang leader known as the Kurdish Fox involved in much of the conflict. The violence has led to a heightened risk for security services and has resulted in fatal shootings, particularly in the Stockholm region. In 2022, Sweden had the highest rate of fatal shootings of all European countries, with over 60 people fatally killed in firearms-related incidents, a yearly record for the country. So, how exactly did this once peaceful nation become a hotspot for crime and notoriety? Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned till the end to find out. Sweden's famed welfare state and its lax asylum laws has made it a popular destination for immigrants. Since the 2000s, it has had a steady, high number of new arrivals. But in 2015, it peaked at over 160,000. Of these non-Western immigrants, nearly half are unemployed. They're also 9 times more dependent on government welfare. They live predominantly in poor suburbs and are poorly integrated with the Swedish society. No wonder these marginalized communities become fertile ground for gang recruitment. In 2020 alone, the percentage of unsolved crimes in Sweden was around 83%, indicating potential challenges in law enforcement efforts. However, it's worth noting that Sweden ranks lower than the United Kingdom in terms of total crimes per 1,000 people and violent crime, including intentional homicide rate. Amidst these challenges, Sweden remains a global leader in several key metrics, with an average GDP per capita of $60,000. It stands as one of the wealthiest nations on Earth. Its citizens enjoy life expectancy of 83 years, supported by world-class healthcare and education systems. Yet, the issue of immigration and integration remains a stumbling block. Despite its societal achievements, Sweden grapples with the effectiveness of immigrant integration and their subsequent contribution to society's productivity. But before delving deeper into this topic, let's dispel a common misconception. Sweden's reputation as a social democratic utopia often overshadows its historical journey. Contrary to popular belief, the comprehensive welfare system that now supports the elderly, sick, unemployed, and substantial refugee population is a relatively recent development. In the 1870s, Sweden lagged behind its northern and western European counterparts, with the GDP per capita half that of Great Britain. The majority of its population relied on farming, a grueling existence in the semi-Arctic environment. However, through a strong work ethic, individual responsibility, and family values, Sweden emerged as the fastest-growing economy during the Industrial Revolution. Remaining neutral during both world wars, Sweden crafted a more tempered version of its current welfare state. It was their industriousness and sense of responsibility, not solely their welfare system, that propelled them to prosperity. Sweden's journey to prosperity was marked by the implementation of free market policies and minimal government intervention. However, it wasn't until the 1960s that the country underwent significant reforms to its welfare system. The concept of folkhemmet, which translates to people's home, gained traction during this period. It depicted Sweden as a familial unit, with citizens expected to care for each other like siblings. This ideology partly explains Sweden's welcoming stance towards refugees. Today, Sweden boasts a robust welfare state that offers remarkable benefits to its citizens, whether native-born or immigrants. For instance, when a child is born or adopted, each parent is entitled to an extensive parental leave of 240 days. Retired couples receive payments that nearly match their pre-retirement income, while healthcare and education are largely free and renowned globally. However, these generous benefits come at a cost, which is financed through taxes. Speaking of taxes, in 1950, the personal income tax rate stood at 21%, but by 1995, it had skyrocketed to 52%. These reforms had significant implications for the economy. While Sweden thrived during certain periods, such as the 1970s, it faced economic challenges in the 1980s and 1990s. Despite Sweden's successes, the employment rate remained relatively stagnant over the years. In 2014, it was only marginally higher than 3 decades earlier, highlighting persistent issues. Furthermore, inequality levels in Sweden have remained relatively unchanged since 1950, raising questions about the effectiveness of the welfare state in addressing socioeconomic disparities. While the welfare state has undoubtedly brought numerous benefits, it has also fallen short in certain areas, particularly in improving existing strengths. Nevertheless, it's essential to note that Sweden achieved prosperity, employment, and equality before the advent of extensive government intervention. Now, let's shift our focus to immigration. In 1987, non-EU migrants accounted for only 3% of Sweden's population. By 2013, this figure had surged to 12%, indicating a significant demographic shift. Interestingly, studies have revealed intriguing patterns among immigrant populations. For instance, immigrants who fled Saddam Hussein's Iraq in the 1980s and 90s were found to be highly educated, with 2.3 times more likely to have higher education compared to native Swedes. Yet, upon resettlement in Sweden, only 18% of them were employed, raising questions about integration and employment opportunities. Similarly, Iranian immigrants in Sweden have faced economic challenges despite their qualifications. In 2004, during a period of economic prosperity, the average income of Iranian immigrants was significantly lower than that of native Swedes. In contrast, similar Iranian immigrants in the United States enjoyed higher incomes compared to native-born residents. This disparity begs the question, why aren't highly educated immigrants finding suitable employment opportunities in Sweden? Clearly, Sweden has been grappling with the influx of new immigrants, strategically dispersing them across various regions of the country without much regard for the economic conditions of each area. Consequently, this approach has inadvertently overlooked the local economic landscape. Moreover, a significant proportion of job placements in Sweden are secured through informal channels, often via personal connections. The language barrier further exacerbates this issue, contributing to the high percentage of jobs obtained through such means. During the early 2000s, Sweden effectively catered to the basic needs and requirements of immigrants. Nonetheless, a shift occurred as the number of immigrants surged in subsequent years. The peak year for immigrant arrivals was 2015, with over 160,000 newcomers entering the country. These individuals hailed predominantly from war-torn nations such as Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Consequently, approximately 20% of Sweden's population comprised individuals of non-native descent. The substantial influx of immigrants led to the concentration of many in impoverished neighborhoods, where they relied heavily on state welfare support. This dependence not only strained the resources of the state, but also served as fertile ground for criminal activities, primarily perpetrated by second-generation immigrants. Such widespread criminality was previously unheard of in Sweden. The pressing question arises, why has Sweden struggled to curb gang violence and crime? There are several contributing factors to this complex issue. Initially, the Prime Minister of Sweden sought assistance from both the Swedish Army and the National Police Chief to combat these crimes effectively. Although soldiers are not currently patrolling the streets, the mere collaboration between military and law enforcement agencies shows the severity of the situation. Investigative journalist amidst sheds light on the internal conflicts within a notorious network known as the Foxtrot Network. This network, torn apart by internal disputes and deaths, has splintered into 2 warring factions, engaged in a deadly struggle for supremacy. One of the significant challenges faced by Swedish authorities in addressing the current situation revolves around the influence wielded by leaders controlling a significant portion of the drug market from overseas. According to recent data, a substantial portion of illicit drug operations are coordinated from abroad, complicating law enforcement efforts within Sweden. Another critical factor hindering the Swedish government's ability to tackle this issue is the recruitment tactics employed by gangs, particularly targeting young and impoverished teenagers. Statistics reveal that these gangs often target adolescents from disadvantaged neighborhoods, offering them monetary incentives ranging from a few $100s for engaging in illegal activities to potentially higher sums for committing heinous crimes like murder. Furthermore, the lenient punishments for criminal offenses, especially among minors, contribute to the allure of joining these criminal organizations. In Sweden, it has been reported that individuals as young as 16 years old could receive a maximum of 4 years in youth custody for committing murder, with access to amenities like iPads and communication with peers. This relatively light consequence compared to the potential financial rewards or social status gained from involvement in criminal activities creates a low-risk, high-reward scenario for many young individuals. Perhaps the most alarming aspect contributing to Sweden's struggle to regain control is the extensive reach of these criminal networks. Not confined solely to drug dealing or criminal enterprises, these gangs have infiltrated various sectors, including government and political parties. Research indicates that these criminal organizations generate an estimated $500 million in profits annually, enabling them to fund further illicit activities and expand their influence. Additionally, geographic trends highlight disparities within Sweden's justice system, with over half of individuals serving lengthy prison sentences being first-generation immigrants. Furthermore, statistics reveal that 45% of the country's unemployed population consists of foreign-born individuals, shedding light on the socioeconomic challenges faced by immigrant communities. The political landscape has also been impacted, with the rise of the Sweden Democrats, who have opposed traditional immigration policies since the 2010s, gaining significant traction. Collaborating with the current Prime Minister, they advocate for stricter immigration controls to address issues stemming from the immigration crisis. Nevertheless, many argue that systemic failures to provide equal rights and opportunities to new arrivals may have contributed to the current challenges. Moreover, concerns have been raised regarding discriminatory policies within Sweden's immigration framework, potentially exacerbating social inequalities. Measures aimed at fostering integration and providing equitable access to social benefits for all residents, regardless of nationality, are crucial for addressing the root causes of criminality and fostering social cohesion in Sweden's diverse communities. What's your take on the Sweden Democrats' call for stricter immigration controls versus the need for a comprehensive review of Sweden's immigration policies to ensure equal rights and opportunities for immigrants? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Thank you for sticking around till the end. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you found it insightful. Until next time, thank you for watching.